Hey guys, and welcome to B Review. This is Brian, your host for the night, and as part of our continuing a salute to the Olympics that B Hero Media is doing, we are doing a special B Review. Of course, it's going to be a retro review. That's right. This week, I went ahead and reviewed, honestly, one of my favorite movies, but it's been a while since I watched it, so I got to watch it again. It was great. And also, an Olympic movie. That movie was Cool Runnings. Of course, one of the famous movies starring John Candy, one of his last movies he did just before he passed. Of course, stars Dougie Doug, as well as Leon and several others in a fantastic sports movie that's a based on true story kind of like thing. It was done very well, and we're going to go ahead and review that today. It came out in '93, and it's fairly a product of its time. So the story and everything else as it comes along is told in a late '80s, early '90s Disney style, and it's very happy and go lucky. They don't really go too deep into the tragedies, even though they talk a little bit about it. For those who haven't seen it, what Cool Runnings is based on the story of a Jamaican bobsled team that is brought together to join into the Olympics, to be part of the Olympics last minute. And the team comes together and gets John Candy, who is a disgraced bobsledder, to be their coach, who's from the island. They're all from the island of Jamaica, including John Candy, who's on the island with them. And they go through all the trials, and it's kind of a little bit of a race thing without calling it a race thing. It's a lot of like the who is this new kids, they don't belong here kind of scenario, that kind of '90s thing, like Mighty Ducks and others like that. So let's go ahead and go right into the good. Now, of course, a lot of the good of this movie involves the story itself. The story is very strong. It's just a simple not coming of age, but overcoming story that you have in sports events, similar to like Rocky, where they go through all of the events of everything to become stronger at the end. And they do a great job in telling that story. They don't just come stronger, but they change the minds of people and that kind of story, which they do a great job at. The acting was also great. Doug E. Doug and Leon and John Candy and everybody that's in this all have the ability of doing a great shine to what they have on there. In fact, there's a great monologue that I totally forgot until rewatching this today from John Candy in front of the Olympic bureau of people who can go do the bobsled thing, and he has this great monologue about why his boys should be in there and everything else. It's honestly a really good movie, and I enjoyed this movie growing up, and I had forgotten how much I enjoyed this movie now. Now, we're going to go into the bad, and this is, again, as I usually do, it's a bit of nitpicky. I'd have to say the bad of this, if anything, is the movie doesn't really hold up per se. It tells a great story and the acting is great, but it is definitely a '90s movie. Like, you look at it, it feels like a '90s movie. But that being said, that's part of the charm of it too, for people. But that was the only thing, honestly. They do so well with everything else in it. It's hard to really knock it for anything. The acting's great, the story's great. Hans Zimmer does the music, which is great. So there's not really any bad outside of just didn't really grow with the time as it was. Like the same stuff that you would see now, like that story would be told totally differently now. They would focus more on the racial elements and things like that, and less on the subtly calling the race elements, and more about overcoming adversity, as the movie is. They'd probably be a lot more closer to the true story, which isn't off totally of what they did, but it's not exactly how the movie went or how the story went. So there's more that they would have done and should have done, but they still did fantastic in what it was. Uh, that being said, I have no ugly for this. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I would love for you guys to do the same. It's available right now on Disney Plus. So once you're done watching everything else on Disney Plus right now, hit that up for some good Olympic love. And don't forget to go back and watch all the Olympic stuff that we've done here on Be Hero Media and this Be Hero YouTube page, such as our episode of the Be Hero Fights podcast, my stream of Wednesday with me playing Warzone and Heroes Play. We just added a clips section where you can see some play from that as well. And then, of course, you can go to listen to our Sheroes podcast on Spotify and anywhere else you can get podcasts at. Guys, I hope you guys had fun and go and see this movie. It is fantastic. And as for me, guys, I'm going to go watch it again because I really enjoyed it. And as always, guys,